Hi, I'm Edwin Aponte. I am a 1982 graduate of Gordon-Conwell Theological Seminary. I received a Master of Arts in Theological Studies with a concentration in Old Testament. Currently, I serve at Druid University, where I am the Dean of the Theological School here in New Jersey. What that means for a university-embedded seminary is that I am the executive of the seminary. The way I got here in this role was not a straight line from when I graduated from Gordon-Conwell. Indeed, my first position after I left seminary was teaching at a Bible college in Allentown, Pennsylvania, just part-time, and they wanted to keep me around, so they invited me to become director of financial aid. I didn't know anything about financial aid other than I received financial aid when I had been a student. But I learned not only that role, but also that I had a calling to be also a administrator in higher education. Not just a financial aid administrator, but it led to other kinds of positions in higher education. After leaving that Bible college in Pennsylvania, I served for a number of years in Chicago at North Park University, where I was asked to be the founding director of the Center for Latino Studies at North Park. Along with that, I was finishing my PhD in Religion and Society from Temple University back in Philadelphia. From there, in Chicago, I was called to be a member of the faculty of Perkins School of Theology at Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas. And there I really was growing into the calling that I discerned actually back at seminary in Gordon-Conwell. When I was a student, I had been told by some people that even though I had aptitude to be a scholar and to be a pastor, that I had to choose between the two. And one of the best pieces of advice I got from one of my professors at Gordon-Conwell was, no, I didn't. I didn't have to choose. I could follow the calling that God had given me. And I grew into that calling, a calling to bridge church and academy. And that has been true for all my life. So after some years, I was called to become an academic dean at a seminary in Pennsylvania, Lancaster Seminary, and did that for a number of years and continued to live in this calling of bridging church and academy. And from there, I eventually was able to not only to be a professor at other institutions and be a researcher, eventually became a dean, academic dean at another seminary, Christian Theological Seminary in Indianapolis, all the while having opportunity to serve in local congregations and learning how important that was for theological education, not only for the students, but also for me to ground the work that we were doing in the life of the church. And from there, I was able eventually to accept an invitation to become the executive director of the Louisville Institute. And the mission of the Louisville Institute is to bridge church and academy and to support research of all types in all disciplines that will contribute to the flourishing of the church. And so through this ongoing path that took twists and turns and surprises along the way, I've been able to live into the calling that God has given me to be this bridge person, and indeed to live into my family name, Aponte, to be a bridge between church and academy, and how each can benefit the other in that way, and helping people to be contextual in their own varied callings. So that's been a great joy for me. And as I reflect on my years of ministry in church and academies, even before I graduated from Gordon-Conwell, I'm also reminded of a couple things that I learned there at Gordon-Conwell that has stayed with me throughout the years. One is to always follow the calling that God has given. And to recognize that calling is not just an individual thing, that it comes to us through community church, through community of relationships, and it gets affirmed by others. So to pay attention to the calling from God. And secondly, what I learned in a deep way from Gordon-Conwell was to take the scripture seriously. And in doing those two things throughout the years in this path that has many twists and turns of my life journey and ministry, I have been surprised by the scripture. Sometimes I thought I had it all figured out, and God has shown me a new light in scripture. And so that has been very exciting to see all the tremendous things that God can do if we are open to God's leading and if we are serious about God speaking to us through scripture.